So this is gonna be a Raw review where, go home show to Hell in a Cell. Seems like I was making one of these saying I'm going to Battleground just a couple weeks ago, and there's already another pay-per-view in end of October. Show was okay. It was the go home segment and the opening segment were great. Big Show, showing true emotion. I think Triple H, Stephanie, great power trip couple as they were before. Nothing's changed, and Big Show. Just kind of being that guy who's fired, but he keeps finding his way back in the building. I don't know how. WWE security isn't that. Actually, when you look back at it, Matt Hardy was fired. He made his way back in the building. Stone Cold Steve Austin's got, kicked out of the building, banned from the building plenty of times. He always found his way back. WWE security's got to tighten up on their guys. They kind of let anybody through. Should try myself one day, try getting backstage, because the rate these guys are going, I think it's a little free pass. Anyone gets in. But the opening segment was the Triple H Stephanie thing, and they pretty much reviewed the whole Big Show being fired and Triple H. It's in the middle of the promo. Big Show interrupted, and then Stephanie cut him off. Was wondering how on earth did he get on the Titantron? How could someone pass this? And took him about 2 minutes to get cut off. And Daniel Bryan versus Dean Ambrose was the opener, and Daniel Bryan match didn't expect anything less, especially with someone like Dean Ambrose, and Daniel Bryan won. And next was one of the more obscure things you've seen on Raw. It was Great Khali, Santino, and Hornswoggle dressed up like Elvis against 3MB, and obviously King, Cole, JBL, all making Elvis references through his songs, through whatever he says. And at the end of the match, you had Jerry and Santino celebrating. It was quite a sight to see. Very, very weird segment. And Dolph Ziggler versus Randy Orton was a great match. They had about 7 minutes, 6 or 7 minutes, and they really went out there and put on a great show. Love to see a feud between those two in the future. And what was it called? The tag team match: Miz and Kofi versus the Wyatt family. I don't know how these two guys are still going, but Wyatt, it was just there because I'm sure they're building to a Miz and what's his name match. Miz and God, that guy's name, Bray Wyatt, and Biggie Langston in his face, big good guy debut on Raw, tagged with CM Punk, and once again your typical tag match, nothing out of crazy. It was a lot of okay stuff, and the segments were great. It seemed like how this Raw was, and you had two great matches actually, Daniel Bryan, Dean Ambrose, and then Orton and Ziggler, but it was whatever. And then you had the Cesaro swing to, I'm not even going to talk about the match, I'm going to talk about the giant swing to Brodus Clay. Now everyone's used to seeing Antonio Cesaro do a 10 rep, 10 rotation, and now he's doing 3 or 4, and it's not as impressive anymore. You're like, man, this guy was doing 10 before. But still, it's Brodus Clay, and he's over 300 pounds, and he's gotten him around 4 times, and it's still a great feat of strength, but you're really expecting more out of Antonio Cesaro. It just shows how spoiled fans are. You gave him, I think it was Great Khali, it was a good 6 or 7 or 8 reps, and it was like, man. So last week he did it to Tensai. He couldn't do it that many times, about 3 reps, and same with Brodus Clay. It was only 3 or 4 rotations. So I don't know, maybe Cesaro's getting a little tired. He can't lift the old big guy, can't turn him around anymore. And Shield vs Usos for the #1 contender spot. Kind of figured it was going to be a rematch from last week's Raw. And then you had the main event with the contract signing. Got a decent amount of time. And kind of had Orton burying Bryan, saying you can't beat him, he's the face. He had Triple H burying Bryan, saying, he wouldn't waste his time with him if we were in a match situation. Said something about Edge and Jericho and Van Dam, if they were ever the face, they would all be working for Ted Turner, kind of hinting that WWE would have lost the Monday Night Wars. But, you look at it, Triple H was never the guy himself. He was always, the world champion, sure, but he was never the face, I would say, of WWE. So, it's kind of a weird thing when you look back at it, because Triple H was always there. He always had The Rock there, as, those two guys were really the face of the company. But I would say The Rock over Triple H. But, then you had Shawn Michaels sticking up for Bryan, making him look like $1 million. Big Show came out in a big rig. I don't know why. Security, once again, didn't bother arresting him. They just kind of stood there and told him to back off. And did the yes thing. Daniel Bryan kicked Orton. Finished with a whole bunch of yeses. Now, when you look at WWE formula, you got the face who is on top the go-home show. Usually means that he's losing at the pay-per-view. So, see how things go, because, you know, you look back in the past, you never have a face go into the pay-per-view with momentum. So, I don't know. I do think Bryan's winning, but this isn't usually the route that WWE goes to when you have a babyface about to win their world title. But Raw was fine. It wasn't anything to, well, I guess it was a better than average Raw. You had a great match with, you know, like I said, and then 2 great promos. So, better than a lot of Raws. Bound for Glory was last night, so anything was really better than that. And that's it. See you guys in the next video.